Jury, this was hard. This was a very hard case. It's hard to listen anytime you lose a member of the community, especially a beloved member of the community. It's very hard to listen to that evidence and to fairly decide this, but we think that the jury, they got it right, and we're very, very happy with the result. We believe in Ryan, and we've believed in him this entire time, and we're so pleased that the jury listened and gave it everything that they did. Yes, so Monday we'll have a sentencing hearing. Ryan's facing a possibility of up to 10 years in prison. He's already served 5 years. He's been in custody this entire time. So he'll get credit for all of that time, and the judge can give him anywhere between 1 year and 10 years in custody. But Monday is really about the Grinsteads and letting them speak and letting them be heard, and that's what it's really about on Monday.
Did Ryan say anything to you after he came down? We saw him emotional. What did he tell you guys before he left?
He was very emotional. He said thank you many times, just kept saying thank you, and he felt like the jury heard him, and it's something that's been weighing on his mind for a very long time. I asked him if he wanted to speak on Monday, and he said Monday is about the Grinsteads. Monday is for the Grinsteads to speak, and he wants it to be focused on them.
Stephen, you bear a burden too, and step up if you would, please.
Sure.
Please.
For all this time that he's been in jail and everything, let's hear from you. Your reaction when you were in there and heard those words.
Yes, sir. The emotion is very real. Ryan's been locked up for a while now, and we're very thankful for the jury and listening and believing in him, and we're excited to get this chapter of our life over with and move on to the next one.
What do you think made the difference in this trial?
You would have to ask somebody from the jury. I'm not sure. Lawyers.
But I think Ryan made the difference. Ryan, I mean, you saw it. You saw Ryan, and you saw him speak the truth and be comfortable finally telling what happened. And he's hoping that brings some closure to the community and to the Grinstead family. But I think that really made the difference.
And they kept asking about concealing a death.
They did. They kept asking us about venue on concealing a death, whether or not, because when he took the stand, he admitted to his role, which was in Ben Hill County. And so I think that they had they were confused and had some issues on whether or not it happened in Irwin County or Ben Hill County. But I think that they got it right at the end of the day. We believed in Ryan. Stephen actually called me, and we, my husband John and I, we have our own family practice. It's a small family law firm, and we always have felt very strongly about doing pro bono work. We've always done pro bono work, and we think that it's something that lawyers should do. And so we always had one case, and it was just the timing was great because I had just resolved a case that I had, a pro bono case, and so I knew about the case. I had done some interviews on the podcast, and we knew about it, and met with Stephen, met with their family, and just fell in love with them, fell in love with the community, and wanted to come down and help.
What were the biggest challenges throughout this trial?
The last minute detail.
A lot of the last minute things, getting things last minute, that was kind of frustrating. We like to be prepared, and we like to have things ahead of time, and so sometimes getting things last minute was difficult. Also the time. I mean, it's very hard when you have a case that's been pending for so long, and the information's just not fresh, and so you've got to go back and sort of reinvestigate the entire case, and so that was definitely a difficulty.
Do you think the community can move on now? It's 2005. It's been a very long time coming. Do you think this will begin the healing? I know nothing will bring Ms. Grinstead back,
Right.
But moving for the community, what do you think happens now? Is this a start to that?
We really think that the community can start to heal now. They have heard from Ryan what happened. They know that the person who actually committed this crime is in prison. While he may not be in prison for committing the crime that he committed, he still is in prison. And I think that gives them some amount of closure. Justice is never perfect. So while he may not be paying the price for the crime that he committed, he is definitely being punished. And so that hopefully will give the community some amount of closure.
Evan, you sat next to Ryan most of the time, and that says and you questioned him. What was going through your mind as you questioned him? Did you believe the jury was believing his story at the time?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that I've known Ryan since we were kids. I went to high school with Ryan, and that's why I agreed to join the case. I actually reached out to the merchants when I learned about Ryan being charged and them taking the case on. So I believed Ryan right from the very beginning, and getting him ready to testify, and then having him testify in front of the jury. I think it was raw, and it was real, and at least when I heard it, we were getting ready, and then in front of the jury, it really resonated with me, and I thought it was, it was very powerful. So.
And you were arm in arm with him as that verdict came in.
Yeah.
Take us through that moment.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. It's like you're skydiving and you're about to jump out of the plane, and it's like, oh, I know it's about to happen, and then it did, and I could feel. I had my hand on his shoulder as it was read, and I could feel the tension sort of flow out of him, as the not guilty verdicts were read. So it had a very clear, physical impact. I could feel the tension leave him as it was read.
And his first words?
What's that?
His first words to you?
Gosh,
Thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we got back to the room back there. We didn't say much when we were, out in the courtroom, but yeah, he was overcome with, I think, gratitude and relief once we got back there.
Do you think there was one piece of evidence or one witness that really made your case stand out and made people side more so with the defendant?
I think it's Ryan. Yeah, I think Ryan told his truth, and I think it was evident to the jury and anybody else who watched it. I think him having the time to tell his story from start to finish, I think it was very powerful.
Was he happy to take the stand, or did that need some convincing?
Well, no, I think he was very willing to take the stand. There was no time, during the discussions about whether he would do it, that he was ever reluctant to do it. He was nervous about it, as I think anybody would be, to sit in front of, a bunch of strangers on TV and tell something, especially something so personal and so raw. But at no point was he ever, oh, I don't want to do this. He never said that.
What made you all decide to encourage him, or if that's the right word, to take the stand? Is there any piece of evidence or any point in the testimony or the presentation of the evidence that pushed y'all in that direction?
I don't think so. I think it made sense. If we all had the chance, obviously as his lawyers, to go through this with him many times, over the course of the several years that we've had the case, been working with him, and I think we all knew from the beginning that he needed to get the story out, not just for himself, obviously, but for the community, for the families that were touched by the case. So I think I don't think there was ever there was never a time, I don't think, we were like, oh, this is a bad idea, don't do it. I mean, I think we all knew it the whole time that he was gonna talk about it, and he knew as well.
It was one of the first things when we met. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Tony. When we first talked with Stephen, I came down and met with Ryan, and him telling me what happened was what really compelled me. And then, of course, I had to convince John that this was what we wanted to do. And John came down and met with him and heard Ryan, heard what happened, and we both believed him. And we're both compelled with that. And so there was never really a doubt about him being able to tell his story. That was something that was always important to him. He wanted to do that. He wanted everyone to know what happened. He was very scared at first, but some things transpired throughout the case with Mr. Dukes and his arrest that made him a little bit less scared. But, it's hard to get up in front of the world and tell something that has haunted you for so long. And so that was definitely something that was nerve-wracking for him, but there was never any doubt in our minds because it was the truth.
Speaking of Mr. Dukes, what made you all decide to, as the state said it, parade him in front of the jury, even though you knew he was likely to invoke his right to remain silent?
Well, we assumed he was going to answer a couple questions. I mean, not, his name. I didn't really expect that he would invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege to that. And we never really knew what was going to happen because the state had talked about possibly giving him immunity for his testimony. And so we never were sure if he was going to testify or not. We had hoped that he was going to testify and we would have the opportunity to cross-examine him. But until the person actually takes the stand, you never know. So, I mean, I even 5 minutes before expected him to answer a couple questions. And then he didn't.
What did you make of the jury requesting his indictment today?
I still don't know what to make about that. I think that they were really hung up on the concealing count, and I think that most likely they weren't sure that there was venue in Irwin County, but knowing that Ryan was involved and what he admitted to, they wanted to hold him accountable for what happened, and knew that they couldn't in Ben Hill. And so I think they were probably looking at it to see if there was a way that they could hold him accountable here.
And what was going through your mind throughout the deliberations with all these questions that were coming out, especially related to count 6 and venue? Can you bring us inside your room?
It is the best and worst time ever. It's one of it's like the skydiving. You don't know what's going to happen, and you've got a person's life in your hands. It's terrifying that it could go either way. He could walk out the door with you, or he could go to prison for the rest of his life. I mean, that is terrifying, particularly when you've spent the last 4 years getting to know him, getting to know his family, believing in him, believing in his innocence. So that is a terrifying feeling. The venue questions for us were a good sign. You probably heard the prosecutor let out a sigh when those questions came down. Those tend to be good questions for the defense, but you never know with juries. You never know what they're going to do and what the questions mean. So it was nerve-wracking. It was definitely nerve-wracking.
Miss Bullington, would you mind sharing how you're feeling right now?
Miss Linda?
I just thank God for these people He sent our way, because they took it, because they believed Him, and never one time did I see doubt in their face. Never one time. And I told Ashley she could be a ventriloquist because you can't read her lips. I tried.
What was going through your mind throughout deliberations?
Me? I had this calm sense about myself. I really did. I mean, I can't imagine sitting over there beside the Grinsteads. I can imagine how they felt, but I don't know. But I can't imagine if I was there after I saw Ryan's testimony, it would give me peace that he got up there and let me know that my daughter's not coming back, because he painted the picture for them that he didn't have to. And I hope and pray that they can find forgiveness in their heart, because I think God was involved in all this. I really do, in getting this story to y'all.
Stephen, if you could say anything to the Grinstead family now, what would you like to say?
I'm sorry for your loss. I wish that this would have come out in 2005 when the law enforcement had the information. I hate that it took this long, and I hope and pray that they can move past this.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.